I'm coming to you from Menang Noongar country in beautiful southwestern Australia. And I'm an environmental historian, and I've just co-authored a book on the history of water in Australian cities. So I'm really drawing on this recent environmental history research to talk to you today. And I think the main argument I wanted to make, or the main perspective I want to present, is that from quite early in its history, Australia's maintained an essentially colonial attitude to water. So by that I mean a kind of outlook of endless expansion and exploitation of new water sources and disposal of wastes wherever we like, as opposed to water reuse or conservation. So I think really the core assumption is that all of the water sources are available for use by humans, and particularly by settler Australians, without much regard for Indigenous needs or attitudes. So even with this belief that every water source is available for us to exploit for our purposes, that process of providing centralised high quality water supplies to almost all urban Australians has been challenging at times. So there's several examples of failures in these systems where quality has been compromised. But by and large, Australians have come to expect that water will be available, it will be available in abundance, and it will be available from sources that they perceive as pure. So historically in Australia, when water supplies for a city have run low, this hasn't been portrayed as a problem of overconsumption or a problem of exceeding environmental constraints. Instead, it's been seen as a problem of insufficient supply and inadequate infrastructure. So the framing is really important. Different kind of groups and different solutions are summoned depending on how you think about the nature of the problem. So if you think about our water issues as a problem of marine pollution, you summon a quite different kind of solution than you do if you think about it being a problem of inadequate or impure supply. But almost invariably, the immediate response historically has been to restrict water use in order to share the remaining supplies, and the ultimate solution is seen to lie in expanding capacity to extract or make more potable water via dams, rivers, groundwater, or desalination. So desalination, of course, is the most recent technology to come on the scene, and it seems to be the solution to all our problems. It's infinitely expandable, as the ocean's pretty big. But of course, there's the energy cost in an era when we must reduce energy consumption, as well as those big problems of ocean pollution that we're hearing more about today. So water recycling has actually been used in Australia for many, many years, but not generally for potable water. So instead, as I'm arguing, Australians have become really accustomed to thinking that we could just keep supplementing our existing potable water supplies with new dams, more river water, or more groundwater. So that's that colonial growth mentality. But these usual solutions, the new dams, new bores, new desal, have just, I think, served to postpone the vulnerability or create other problems, rather than offering truly sustainable solutions. So now we see that increasingly recycled or purified water is on the agenda, but it's politically difficult because of this expectation that voting Australians have developed that their drinking water will come from those sources we perceive as pure, and that doesn't include purified wastewater or stormwater. So like Simon said, I think this is partly an issue of education. On the one hand, people don't understand the environmental and economic consequences of continually developing new water sources. And on the other hand, people don't understand that they're already drinking water that is recycled. I mean, that's what the natural water cycle does. So we now have the technology to achieve those same ends in a different way. Also, the barrier isn't surmountable. Since 2011, when a trial program was implemented, Perth people have been drinking purified water through an aquifer recharge program. And I think the groundwater phase of that process might help to reduce the so-called yuck factor, as people can believe that this is nature doing its purifying work. But as far as I know, there's no reason why a dam recharge system couldn't work in a similar way. After all, dams are used to store desalinated water that's destined for Perth customers as drinking water. So to sum up, as an environmental historian, my conclusion is that we need to abandon that colonial mentality that we can keep taking over new water sources and putting our pollution where we like. Instead, we need to adopt a more responsible approach that sees us learning to live within limits and caring for the biosphere that maintains us. And that includes water conservation and water reuse. Thank you.